Hi guys, today we're going to review factoring methods. So the first thing that you need to remember is you need to arrange the polynomial in an order, especially the main thing is having it in descending order from the highest exponent to the lowest exponent. Make sure that the first term is positive. You know that the leading coefficient being positive is always a plus. It's easier, simpler, so you want that. If the first term is negative, factor out a negative from every term so you can make your life simpler. Second recommendation here is check the polynomial for any common factors, kind of like the greatest common factor. If you have one, take it out. You are going to make that equation easier. If the polynomial has two terms, most likely you will have something that looks like a difference of squares. Please remember that you need to look at the patterns here. A squared minus b squared is going to be equal to a minus b times a plus b. Also, you can check the pattern that it's also pretty common, the difference of cubes. The difference of cubes, you are going to have a cubed minus b cubed is going to be equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Okay, so please remember the difference of cubes is always important and you need to remember this formula. Similarly, you can check the pattern of the sum of cubes. Basically, it's pretty much the same. The only thing that it's different is that this has a plus. You have that a squared plus b cubed is going to be equal to a plus b times a squared minus a times b plus b squared. Okay, please note that the sum of squares cannot be factored over the reals, meaning here we're going to be talking about the real number line. Therefore, complex roots and imaginary pieces are not going to be a fair game. Okay, so just to remind you about that. No complex factors here. Okay, it's only reals. Okay, so the fourth recommendation here we have that if the polynomial has three terms, you are going to check for a pattern in case that you have perfect square trinomials. You need to remember that a perfect square trinomial looks like this. When you have the negative goes here, and remember that too. Or you know that a plus b, when you have that perfect square trinomials with the positive, everything is going to be positive. Okay. Another way is to do trial and error to unfold. I know that some of you are really good at it. Another way that is more like methodic is the master product method. You have that ax squared plus bx plus c. You need to find the product of a times c. And then you're going to list the pair of factors of b, that it's ac, a times c. You need to identify the factor whose sum is going to be equal to b. And then you need to rewrite the polynomial as a x squared plus f1x plus f2x plus c. And then you need to use factor by grouping, and ideally that's going to be it for that case. Okay. My fifth recommendation is if the polynomial has four terms, the ideal situation is that you factor by grouping. If you have one group that you have 3 and 1, then you know this one you use when the polynomial has three terms with the square variables and one of the square terms is negative. This is the style. And the group 2 by 2 is used when you're grouping 3 by 1. When this one doesn't work, then you're going to group 2 by 2. And what you need to do here is you're going to factor the greatest common factor from both groups, then factor out the common binomial. Okay, so usually the grouping, the typical that you see is this one, the 2 by 2. Okay, so we're going to factor completely the following problems. Okay, so let's start with this one. So let's factor 12x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, so you want two numbers that when you multiply them they give you negative 72, and when you add them or subtract them they give you negative 1. You're going to tell me where this negative 72 is coming from negative 6 times 12. Okay, so those two numbers, and please remember when we do this type of factoring that you like, is going to be 12x and 12x. Therefore, the two combinations here, as you can see, this is negative, so the 9 is going to be negative and the 8 is positive. So you have this situation. Okay, after that, what you are going to do is you need to simplify. So please simplify this. to simplify this equation, I would divide by 3, okay, so you would have 4x minus 3, and this one I would divide it by 4, okay, having 3x plus 2, okay, and that's as much as you can factor. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Number 2, you have that it's 1 over 27 a cubed minus 8 divided by 25. Okay, so here you realize about the pattern. You see the cube, you see the 27, you see the 8 and the 25. This is looking like cubes, okay, so and since we have cubes, we are talking about cubes, you need to look at the negative. So here I see that it's going to be 1 over 3a cubed minus, and I would do 2 over 5 and everything cubed. Okay, so this is going to be equal. If you remember the formula, you have that it was this one minus this one because it's the difference, okay, so you have that it's going to be 1 over 3a minus the 2 over 5 times this one square, which you know that 1/3 square is 1 over 9 and a square is a square, plus, and then the multiplication of this guy and this one, so you know that it's going to be 2 over 15 times a, and then plus it's going to be the 2 square, which is 4, and then the 5 square, which is 25, and that's it for number 2. Now for number 3, what do you have? Let me see number 3. You have 4x cubed plus 8x squared, y minus, and you have that it's 5x squared. Okay, so here the first thing that I recognize is not as simple, so I need to recognize what they have in common. What I see that they have in common is the x, so I go ahead and take out the x. Okay, so you have 4x squared plus 8xy minus 5y squared. Okay, so what I do here, I recognize that I have the x squared, okay, linear, and then I have the y squared here and the linear. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, since I'm looking at this pattern, is I want to factor that piece, but it's a little bit more complicated because I have x and y. So what I do is I put the x here, the y here, the x here, and the y here. In addition, since I know that I need to do my AC method here, you know that I'm looking for two numbers when adding, and you need to put the 4 here and here, okay, because we're going to do the same method before the AC method. I want two numbers that when I add them, they give me, or subtract them, they give me 8, and when I multiply them, they give me 4 times negative 5 is going to be negative 20. So which are those two numbers? You know that those two numbers are going to be positive 10 and negative 2. Okay, so you go ahead and put the positive 10 here and the negative 2 here. After that, what you need to do here is you need to simplify. So you know that this one, we can divide it by 2, so you have that this is 2x plus 5y, and this one we also divide it by 2, so you have 2x minus y, and that's as much as you can factor this equation. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. For number 4, let me see number 4, you have 8x cubed, and you have that it's negative 18xy squared. Okay, so again, I would take out the greatest common factor first. You recognize that both are even. In addition, you have x's both ways, so I would do 2x times 4x squared minus 9y squared. Okay, after that, you are like, oh, I see the pattern here, the difference of squares. Okay, so you are like, okay, so you can recognize that this guy is going to be 2x squared, and this is not a 3y squared. Okay, so you can recognize that that's going on. Therefore, what we're going to do here is 2x times 2x minus 3y times 2x plus 3y, and that's as much as we can do for number 4. Okay, so for number 5, what we're going to do here, let's do number 5 here. You have that you have 9a squared minus 25b power of 6, and you're like, wait, I only have two numbers. Okay, so when you have two numbers, you need to think about 3 things: either the difference or sum of cubes, or the difference of squares. This one looks like it's squares. So if you don't see the pattern here, what I see, I'm going to explain you what I see. I see 3a, excuse me, everything square minus, and then you have 5b cubed square. Okay, so you know that by properties of exponents, when you square this one is the 6, so that's why I'm seeing this pattern. Now, what are you going to do here? Well, this one, what you're going to do here is going to be 3a, okay, and it's going to be minus 5b cubed times 3a plus 5b cubed, and that's as much as you can do in this equation. Okay, so for number 6, let's do number 6 here. Okay, so number 6, let me see number 6, we have x power 4 plus 2x squared, and you have a negative 24. Okay, so this one you need to think about this equation. Okay, so always since I see power 4, power 2 and power 0, I think about this. Okay, this one, if you see it, it's pretty easy to factor, because you can recognize that in this equation you would have u plus 6, u minus 4, okay, because that's how we can factor this equation. Now for this one, what we're going to do, instead of u, you have u squared, x squared, so you have x squared plus 6 times x squared minus 4, and then you need to analyze, hey, can I factor this more? This one you cannot, because you know that that one would give you something that it's complex. Now this one we can do more. We know that it's x minus 2, x plus 2, okay, and that's as much as I can do for number 6. Now let's go over number 7. Number 7, what you have here is 8xy, and you have that it's plus 2x minus 4y, and then we have negative 1. Okay, so this one is pretty straightforward. Why? I see 4 terms here, honestly, and when I see 4 terms, I want to group. Okay, so I see the pattern here and here. So what are you going to do? What these two have in common? Well, you have the 2 and the x. So what do you have left? You have 4y, and then you have a 1 here to place that space, and then these two, what they have in common, they have the negative 1, therefore this is going to be 4y, and this is going to be plus 1, okay, because I took out the negative in front. Therefore you ask yourself what these two terms they have in common, and you're going to say, oh, 4y plus 1, and then I have left 2x minus 1, and that's it. You completely factor number 7. Isn't that simple? So don't get intimidated when you have so many terms, okay? Factoring by grouping is pretty user-friendly, and you can do it, okay? Now when you have 8, okay, so let's see, what do we have in 8? We have y squared minus x squared minus 10x, and you have that this is minus 25, and you're like, wait, I don't see the pattern here, it's kind of like crazy. Okay, so I'm going to do it step by step so you can see the pattern here. You have that this is equal to y squared minus, and then you have the x squared plus 10x plus 25, and you're like, wait, this is perfect squares. Okay, so what do you have here? You have y squared minus, and then hopefully you see that this is x plus 5 square. Okay, and after having this basically chunk it into perfect squares, now I can do the difference of squares, okay, because this is square and this is square, and I have the minus sign there. So you have that this is going to be y minus x plus 5, y plus x plus 5, okay, and then you can take out the parentheses that we have inside the parentheses because it looks kind of ugly. So you have y minus x minus 5, y plus x plus 5, okay. And that's pretty much a review on factoring. Hopefully it helps.